YouTube, the new selection box is here and it is top tier. This is your boy Sean Matrai here, and we're about to go over the new selection box and league cards that I'm gonna mostly assume are in it. Um, yeah. So let's go over the guaranteed ones that we see here, and then we can evaluate all these cards that should be in the selection. Except for the Blue Eyes White Dragon and the Swords, these are anniversary things. Okay, Armagedon Knight. So Armagedon Knight is a brand new card. This card I hope is at 3 because this card is a buff to Orcus, a major buff to Orcus if it's not at 3. Basically, it's scrap recycler for them. When this card is summoned, you send one dark monster from your deck to your graveyard. So obviously this card helps buff Shadows. You can't send Wendy, but they can just send Squamata to send Wendy, so it's not a big deal. Um, do I think this card is a big help in Shadows? I don't know. Like, the problem with Shadow with using this card is that they already have better starters, such as Alistair, and maybe using something like Rolona over this, but we'll see. Maybe they play both. I don't know. I honestly think that, Shadows with Armageddon Knight, it's okay. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, I think overall, I think this card is, I hope this card's at 3 because of Orcus. Orcus, I think this would make this insane, so I would expect this to be limit 3 on release, but we will see. Yeah, so Armageddon Knight coming to Duel Links. Yeah, I'm trying to think what other darks. Oh, Infernity might actually make work of this because they just dump Archfiend in the graveyard. I'm trying to think of what other decks might want to play this. What other dark decks do we have in Yu-Gi-Oh? Dark Lord, maybe. Uh, Dark. Cosmo could play it. Actually, you could play this in Cosmo. Actually, this would be actually interesting in Cosmo, honestly. Because if you play this in Cosmo, um, you could dump Destroyer, and it gives you another normal summon to revive a Call of the Haunted. So, like, for instance, if you play this in Cosmo, you dump Destroyer, and maybe you just, like, pack several Call of the Haunteds. But the thing is, like, do you really want to be summoning this over a pilot? I don't know. But maybe if you run, like, a call-focused build, maybe you could try and tech 2 of it in to get back your, Dark Destroyers more consistently. Interesting. I don't know. It would be very interesting in that deck, but I don't know. We'll see. Okay. Anyway, moving on. Forbidden Droplet. Now, this card is very insane, and I know people who play Master Duel know all about Droplet and how good of a card it is. Droplet is really, really powerful um, in the sense that you can just non-target negate anything on the field, and depending on what card you send, your opponent cannot respond to that card. So, for example, let's say you activate Droplet, right? And you send a spell and a monster effect, a monster. Then your opponent cannot respond with those types of cards. So if you send a monster, your opponent can't respond with Pallades or um, Omega on the field, right? So if you send a spell, then your opponent cannot respond with any spell effects, so they can't lance you it. So they may lead to them trying to read for delays and try to preemptively lance their monster, although you just change Droplet anyway. Droplet is very, very, very powerful for Duel Links. I think this card is a card that you're going to want to get at like 2 to 3 copies of for like a Casey cut because this card is just that insanely strong. I think it is meta defining. The reason I say this is because you gotta look at other decks that can abuse this, right? Constellar use cards like Air's Rock Sunrise. They use Constellar's Star Chart, not Star Chart, Star Cradle going second. So, like, they could send their Star Cradle to threaten the Pallades, negate right on the bat, as well as a monster in hand. So that way you can't respond with Omega. Um, I think another deck that really can make a really good use of Droplet, also turn 1, like, this is a quick play, so keep in mind they can use this on the opponent's turn as well, like a Chalice. You can use this on the opponent's turn to, send your Star Chart to the graveyard and then just get a Droplet negate, right? Also, you can use this with skills. So let me give you an example. Let's say you use middle-aged mechs, right? And we go under skills, right? Middle... Is there a hyphen here? Oh, sorry about that. Oh, no, there isn't. Okay. Activate the continuous spell effect of Ancient Gear Castle at the beginning of your first turn. So, basically, if you activate Ancient Gear Castle, you now have a free set for Droplet. So, like, if you're going second, and your opponent tries to activate, your opponent tries to have something on the field, well, now you have a free set for Droplet. So if you're playing something, maybe you could even switch off from your Armagedon deck and you're using level 5 reload. Maybe now you use that, and then you use Forbidden Droplet, and then you could send 2 cards to negate 2 monsters on the field. So, Droplet is very, very good. It is very, very good. Now, if you're a free-to-play player and you say, I cannot get Droplet, am I doomed? You're not doomed. I don't know if this card's going to be at 3 either. That's another question. If this card is at 3, I think it gets worse being at 3, because then people are going to determine whether they want to play this over limit 3 back row. Because you got to also understand that if this card goes to 3, it's an immediate... You got an immediate choice between whether you want to play this over limit 3 back row and just run Valor. You know what I'm saying? At that point, for going second. So, these are things you got to think about, Do I think Droplet's really strong if it's not limit 3? Obviously, if it's not limit 3, you also have Condemn Witch, which is in the game. And Condemn Witch can search Droplet. So that's another thing that you have to take into account. So, I think... oops, sorry about that. I think that the strength of Droplet is going to determine whether it's limit 3 or not. If this card is not limit 3, this card gets to be a lot stronger, because then Condemn Witch now tributes itself, now it can search Droplet on activation, and then that makes it a lot stronger for decks. So now you can start Dropleting their effects, and Condemn Witch becomes that much stronger for normal summon. So Droplet, very, very good. Okay, next is Heat of the Fire Charmer Ablaze. So this card is part of a mixture of 4 different Charmer monsters that allow you to revive certain things in the graveyard, blah, 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 blah. So basically, this is a link to it. Takes 2 monsters, including a fire. So this card might be played in Mayakashi for the Mira, if you wanted to, or you could play this in, like... this card would be insane like a Mayakashi Mira, but this card is also insane in any fire mirrors or whatever. Basically, 2 monsters including a fire. You can target 1 fire monster in your graveyard, special summon to a zone that this card points to. If this card is destroyed by battle or a great card effect while this is in the monster zone, you can add a fire with 1500 or less from your deck to your hand. So basically, what you need to know is that she gets to target a fire in the graveyard, so any fire monster, and then on your opponent's graveyard, I should say, and then summons it to her zone. This is really good in like the Mayakashi mirror. So basically, this card allows your opponent to steal any Mayakashi monsters, like their synchros, because the ones that are fire anyway. So like they can steal Yoko, get the effect, and then pop the card. But this is also good, like if you go up against Salad, then you can steal their Salad monsters and make this with a fire monster that you have. Again, do I think this card is that great? No, I don't think it's that good. I think it's okay. Like, it's not really great. It's not going to make a meta impact, but yeah, overall solid. Alright, next we have Artefact Sanctum. Special summon an artifact monster from your deck. You can only activate 1 Sanctum per turn. You cannot conduct your battle phase the turn you activate this card. This card is destroyed by an opponent's card. You can target 1 card in the field. They destroy that target. Sanctum is not going to make Artifact in themselves meta. As good as this card was meta in the TCG in a deck called Hat. So basically, it was called Hands Artifact Trap Tricks. And this card would be much better if we had something like Artifact Scythe, which locked your opponent out of the extra deck. Right now, this card isn't very, very good, in my opinion. I think that, well, it's not good on its own. It could be good in Live Twin, because this is a card that you could, like, splash, like, the artifacts in the Live Twin, and then they start playing this as an additional back row disruption engine. that going turn 1, now you have a different method of removals. So now you have another removal option. And then you get a body on the field, which helps them link it off. So in Live Twin, this card could be a big buff, I think. Shadows can't use it because the skill locks them. So you wouldn't be running this for a light. But yeah, that's really where I think this is going to get used. Pure artifacts, this isn't going to be played in because I just don't think it really makes sense. It's not that it doesn't make sense. It just does. It's not what it's going to call for to put them in meta tier. So it's a buff to artifacts, but pure artifacts are just, I even with Sanctum, I just don't think are it. Honestly, they just don't do enough. But it's a major boost to everything that can run this, including the pure version, which is still isn't meta, but yeah. I think that Live Twin is going to make the most use out of this, because in Live Twin, they're going to do is they're going to be able to use this to summon out a freaking Morale attack on your opponent's turn, and then they're going to be able to have easy OTK access, and if they wanted to play something like Leviathan here, again, we don't know if these cards will hit the 3, so just bear with me. Yeah, then you can do that. So yeah, there's that. Alright, next we have Alpha the Master of Beasts. This card is very strong going second, but this card is a brick going first. Basically, you special summon this, then if the attack of total of your opponent's monsters are greater than yours, you target any amount of beast warrior, wing beasts you control, including yourself, return them to the hand, and then return one face-up monster your opponent controls. Return face-up monster your opponent controls to the end, equal to the amount of cards returned to the end. Also, for the rest of the turn, Alpha the Master of Beasts you control cannot attack directly. Okay, so basically, this card is absolutely insane in a Master Duel Rank 8 strategy, but this card is a really good going second card in Duel Links. So basically, if you special summon this card, your opponent's forced to disrupt it. And if they bounce it with like a Pallades, it's not good, because then they, you get to essentially resummon it. They have to crack down this. They have to book it. They have to do something to it. I think this card is an upgrade over something like Gizmek into going second, or whatever that other thing, Agmazard, the True King. I think this is an upgrade to going second strategies. I think this card is nice. However, it is weaker going first. It's kind of like a Mech Knight in a way. Think of this as like a Mech Knight. But, this card could be something that people may splash in the Live Twin as well. Because, again, you summon this going second. You force out a disruption. And then this card goes back to the end or does whatever. And then you can make your Live Twin play. So, be cautious. Be very cautious. There's a lot of good going seconds cards in this box. Again, I don't think people are going to play more than 2 of this. So if you ask yourself, do I need to get 3 of this card? Absolutely not. I don't think anyone's going to play 3 of this, because this would just be bricky at that point. And going first, you're not going to really want to see multiple of this in the hand. So I think a 2 of it max. If you're going to play it, then go second strategy. Artefact Morale Attack. This is the card that you're going to summon off Sanctum. So basically, this is a non-target pop. So when summoned either by its own effect, which is if they're during your opponent's turn, they pop it in the spell and trap zone, or you summon it off of like Sanctum, or off of like, forget the other artifact spell. You get to summon this and then non-target pop a monster on the field. So they use Sanctum this out, non-target pop. So that's really, really good. Obviously, like, you can out things like, well, yeah, you can out a Dark Destroyer, but then they could just fall to another thing. So you gotta be careful with that. But overall, really solid. And this card would definitely be splashed in the Live Twin, I feel. With an artifact package. I could see them playing this in Live Twin with that, maybe. We'll see. Black Rose, Moonlight Dragons, another buff to Rose Dragons. So buff to any deck that can make level 7s. If this card is special summoned, or level 5 or higher, is special summoned to your opponent's field, target one special summon monster your opponent controls, return that target to the hand. So this is kind of a disruption. I think this is the only really good disruption in the meta is like Shadows or freaking Earth Machine. This does target, so keep in mind if they summon like a Dark Destroyer, you can bounce it, you would end up not doing anything with this. So yeah, it's like, this card is okay. I don't think this card is like meta defining or anything like that, but it's solid. It's definitely a good pickup. You can get it. Shadow Beast. This card is an improvement to Shadows. It's a nice improvement too, because now you have a really good Wendy target. If this card is sent to the graveyard by a card effect, you draw one card. So if you fuse, get a draw. Also, flip summon or flip effect, draw 2, discard 1. So if you summon this off of Reshadow Wendy, and they want to attack into it, then you get to draw 2 cards and potentially draw into your follow-up. This card is very, very good for Shadows, and I definitely want to pick this up out of the selection. Jizukiru, this card is another kaiju that you can summon, basically attribute your power spots to level 2. And it's a machine, so like this card fits more in like the Machina strategy, because if you go first, you can pitch this for your fortress. This card I want to definitely pick up for like Earth Machines. It's nice. Other than that, like it's kaiju, so you know. World Legacy, World Crown. This card is really, really interesting. So this might be a buff to the World Legacy deck. I really need to take a look at it. I mean, it's a buff, but I don't know if it's the necessary buff that the deck needs, more or less. You special summon this card defense position to a zone your zone a link monster points to. You can only special summon Crown once per turn this way. When a monster is special summoned, the extra deck activates the effect. You contribute this card to gate the activation, and you do destroy it. That's actually really good. Now, the scary thing is this is a dark machine, so Orcus can summon this. So, like, they can summon this to, like, Galatea's zone and then be able to have a negate on the field that can activate. So, they activate their Riberstormer, they activate a Construct, you can negate, destroy it, Pallades, blah, 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 if they allow you to get this thing out. If this card is normal summon or set is distributed, you can add a World Legacy spell trap to your hand. So if you normal summon or set this card is distributed, add a World Legacy spell trap. It's an okay effect. But main thing is this is the negate. The negate is nice. Like, you can use this as a negate and an extender. So we'll have to test this out in World Legacy. But the key is getting the Chalice, so we'll have to see how good and effective this card could be. Okay. Next is Hida. We already went over this. Condemned Dark Lord. 2 fairies. You contribute summon fairies that require banishing 2 monsters from the graveyard instead of tributing by banishing. So immediately that's a buff to Dark Lord. So now they don't have to tribute someone like Ixchel, Nastin, or Teska. You can discard 1 card, take 1 Dark Lord monster, add it to your hand or send it to grave. So this automatically adds Ixchel to your hand, gets that set up. So that's really good. During the end phase, gain 500 life points for each fairy on the field. The question in my mind is in everyone's mind, is this the card that brings Dark Lord back? And I do not think this is the card that brings Dark Lord back. I think it's a buff, definitely. I think this definitely buffs the deck. It's going to be interesting to try out after it comes. I think it's going to be very interesting to see what this card can do for Dark Lord. That being said, I don't think this is the card that puts Dark Lord back on the map. Because again, I don't think it's hard to summon. I don't think it's the easiest thing to summon. Like, I think it does require some commitment, because you're generally, I mean, not a ton of commitment. Like, you could contact and then summon out like Ukubak and then make it out. So maybe it doesn't require as much commitment as I think. So, like, contact Ukubak brings it out, but then you need to summon another level 7. So, we'll see. I'm kind of interested to see what this card can do. Do I think this is a card that puts Dark Lord back on the map? That's the question. And the answer is probably no. I still think it's a little bit out-crept in the meta, but we'll see. We definitely have to do some testing with this, for sure. Next, we have Resal Incarnation. Also, you can make this with the fairy too that we just got. I think it's Condemned Witch. Yeah, you can also make this with Condemned Witch, which is also very interesting as well. So, like, if you summon Condemned Witch, then you can you can make it with that too. So that's actually a very interesting thing. So you can summon Condemned Witch, search out like a Droplet, and then summon a Dark Lord, and then maybe do something like that, and then that becomes very interesting. Resal Incarnation. Target 1 Shadow monster in your graveyard. Special summon it and face up at defense, or face up or face down defense. Now this is good because this could also bring back Winda. or Construct, so you can revive back your fusions as well. And then you can banish this card to Shaddoll from your graveyard, change one monster face down to face up, change the face up monster you control to face down. So this card is absolutely, I think, really, really, really good for the deck because now, let's say you summon Wendy. This card can help them swarm. This makes their turn 1, I think, a lot more productive than something like Sinister would. The reason why is because if you summon out, let's say you summon out Construct turn 1, right? And then you have Construct sends Wendy, right? You send, well, you're not going to send Wendy. You're going to want to send, like, Squamata, right? You're going to want to set up Schism, right? But if you're also able to send Wendy, well, if you send Wendy out of hand, let's say you send Wendy or Squamata out of hand, then let's say you have like a Wendy or Squamata in graveyard, right? Then you Wendy out like either a beast, and then you can revive maybe Squamata from the graveyard. So that's really good. So like if you could like revive back with Squamata from the graveyard, and then you can flip it up at any point. So now you have beast Squamata plus Wind to set up on the field, and you can potentially send 2 cards to the graveyard. We're definitely gonna have to try Resh in the deck. For sure. I think that's a very, very interesting card for the deck. It's definitely better than Schism. Not Schism, Shadow Games. So, this is definitely an upgrade over that. I think I would definitely want to try this out in the deck. Blackout Curtain, if cards you control would be destroyed by battle or card effect, you could destroy this card instead. If a card your opponent controls would be destroyed by battle or card effect, you can banish this from your graveyard instead. Instead of one of those. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think this card is very good. This is like a crappy way to protect yourself against Dark Hole, but only one of those cards. Yeah, this card is really bad. Yeah, I don't know about this one. I don't think this card is good. Okay, so this card is probably the card you want to avoid in the box. Unless there's something you could do with it that I'm not seeing. I don't know. I think the heavy hitter here is Droplet. Obviously some other decks get support. Condemned Dark Lord's very interesting. I want to see what limit 3s come. If Droplet is limited to 3 or it's not limited to 3, I think this is going to be the big thing. If Droplet's limited to 3, obviously it makes Condemn Witch a lot worse, I feel. But at the same time, if we get Droplet, if we have Droplet now in the game, this is going to make Dark Lord. This would make Condemn Witch a lot crazier, obviously, because then you could search Droplet and then be able to use, how should I say it? You would be able to use Droplet and then be able to use that in Dark Lord, maybe with, getting a fairy in the graveyard to make Condemned, reviving it with, what's the spell? Dark Lord Contact. So, very, very interesting. I think that if you want to improve your Shadow deck, right, and you're probably saying, oh, can I get a Resh and Shadow Beast? I think you only have to go through this box once. So if you're playing something like Shadows and you want to improve upon that, you have to go through this once. I don't think we have an Autumn on a Para scenario here where it's like, oh no, if I don't go through this 3 times, I'm going to be goofed up here. Okay, so go through it once for your Shadows. You don't have an Autumn on a Para scenario in that situation. And for Dark Lords, I think max, you're going to need maybe 1 to 2 Condemns. So, if you want to improve upon that, don't have a heart attack. Alright. Droplet's the card that I think you'd want 2 to 3 of. Will people be playing 3 of Droplet? I think that heavily depends on the deck size that they're running. Droplet is a card that is really good at 2 to 3 of copies. Again, it really depends if this card's limited to 3. I think this card's not limited to 3. It's insane. Yeah. If this card is not limited to 3, it's absolutely insane. I think being limited to 3 makes it a bit less insane. It's still really good. But a lot of it gets hampered by how should I say, how people would want to play limit 3s over it and run other cards like Veiler instead. But we will see. I'm a huge fan of what Droplet brings. I think I definitely gonna want to go. I definitely see myself going through this box maybe twice. I can't see this myself going through initially 3 times. Maybe I pick up 3 Droplet before the KC Cup. But yeah. Anyways, appreciate you watching this video. I'll be streaming it tomorrow, the new box opening. Like tomorrow morning I'll be doing that. Yeah, so if you don't want to miss that, follow me on Twitch, like, comment, sub. And yeah, till next time, it's your boy Sean Matrai signing out. Peace. Bye, YouTube.